morning everyone, welcome back to my studio. This morning I'm at the one end of the studio because the Moxie's standing here and she's the perfect machine to demonstrate for you and tell you about pantographs. So have you ever heard of a pantograph? It's a means of quilting using a paper pattern. So as long as you have a movable machine, so it has to be a machine on a frame, you can't do a pantograph with a stationary or sit-down machine, then you can use these. Handy quilter machines all use a laser light. So on the Moxie it's attached here, it shines down onto the paper pattern and you use your rear handlebars to then move your machine and follow that pattern. Depending on the brand of machine you have, you might have a stylus instead of a laser light, but ultimately it works in exactly the same way. You're going to stand at the back, relax and breathe, and then move the machine so that that light or the stylus remains on the line of the pattern. So what's the advantage? If you're a newbie quilter, feeling the weight and understanding how the machine moves and getting used to the movement of the machine is quite a big learning curve. Plus, you're often having to also worry about what pattern you're going to quilt. So here the pattern is right here in front of you. You don't have to worry about thinking out where you're going to go next. You just follow the line. And your spacing is given to you as well. So you don't have to worry about, are they evenly spaced? Am I getting bigger? Is it getting smaller? It's all there, right there on the paper pattern for you. It's dead easy. You stand at the back of the machine generally. Some of them you might stand in front, but the majority you stand at the back and you just quilt away. You can do all over patterns and you can do blocks, you can do borders, depending on the type of pattern that you have. So I don't actually have a quilt loaded on here, you can see I'm doing it the lazy way today, but if you've loaded your quilt on here, you're going to set up your machine so that you know where the boundaries of your quilt are. What I normally do is move my machine to the far side of the quilt so that my needle is just over the edge, and I'll look and see where that laser light falls. And I put a ruler generally on the pattern, so I know I don't have to quilt that side of it, because then I'm just quilting unnecessarily. I'll bring the machine down this end to the other side of my quilt. Say for instance the edge of my quilt is here. I'll go just a little bit extra over the edge, and again look and see where the laser is on the pattern. I don't think if I look at the camera you can see that one, but say it's down here, I'm going to put another ruler or a piece of card or paper or something so that I don't again quilt unnecessarily on this side. And then yes, relax. When you're quilting, you're going to move the machine slow and steady. The more smoothly and evenly you can move, the better. And remember, you don't need to stay bang on the lines. So don't have a death grip, because that just puts stress into your body and it means you can't move nice and flow nicely. Just relax, you can pretty much use your fingertips. You don't need to use a lot of pressure. You're going to work from the right hand side at the back of the quilt towards the left. That's the best way for using the machine. It's going to enjoy that much more than trying to start on the left hand side and go back towards the right. So remember, you don't have to stay exactly on the line, because nobody's going to know what exactly the pattern was or where exactly the line fell when it's quilted into your quilt and you take the quilt off of the frame. So relax, don't be too hard on yourself and just enjoy it. It is a process. The other tip, when you want to come into a point on the pattern, the same as you would with free motion quilting, just pause for a little bit. Try not to rush in and rush out, because you tend then to get curved points instead of a pointy point. Okay, so come into the point and then pause and go back out again. Other thing, as you start quilting and coming closer, you're going to be on the wrong side of the machine. It means you can't see the laser. Try not to get in the habit of trying to walk your feet whilst the machine is running, because that's when you're going to get wobbles. So think of a place that's going to be easy to stop, so it's going to be a point in your, somewhere where there's a point on the pattern rather than a curved area. So come into a point, stop the machine. Literally stop it dead. Then you can move your feet. When you're ready and relaxed again, press start and off you go again. So try not to be shuffling your feet along as you're quilting. It's just one of those tips that makes your result look that much better. Then when you've completed one row, the next challenge is actually to advance your quilt and to keep the spacing correct. Now most patterns, this one included, has a double pattern. Because of the throat space of my machine here, I can't quilt the second one. I don't have space here in the throat to be able to manage the second pattern. So I'm going to have to advance every time. But there is a way to do this easily. You're going to put your needle down in a point on the quilt. So literally a point where either where two lines cross, or if it's a leaf, for instance, where it goes to the point and comes back, put the needle down in that point. And your laser light on the pattern should be in exactly that same point. Okay, then you're going to look at your pattern here, and I'm going to advance my quilt, not change the laser position. I'm going to actually roll the quilt on, and I'm going to watch whilst the needle is down in the fabric. I'm going to advance until my laser light moves to exactly the same pattern but on the next row. I'll put you a picture in the video on the video to show you what I mean. Then clamp your frame down that it's secure again. You know you've then advanced. You can start with the next pattern on your pantograph, and it's going to quilt with even spacing each time. So let's think about it a little bit. This pattern, I said to you, it's got 2 repeats on the paper, which is great if you have a bigger machine. With the Moxie, we don't have so much space, so I have to be a little bit careful when I'm choosing my patterns. Doesn't matter what machine actually, you've got to be careful what you choose. So this pattern is about a 9-inch repeat, and I have 2 patterns, which means I've got plenty of space. With the 9 inches, I have enough space with the Moxie's throat space to be able to quilt the entire pattern. I've got 16 inches of throat, but that gives me about 12 inches in total of quilting space. Because remember, the poles are in the middle here, and the neck of the machine here means I can't quilt right up to the pole. So I don't have all 16, I've got about 12, 13 inches of space when I start. But as your quilt rolls up, as you advance through it and it rolls up, this pole here is going to get fatter. So I can't start off quilting a 12-inch pattern and hope by the end of a king-size quilt I'm still going to be able to get that full pattern in, because I'm going to use up my throat space and I'm not going to have as much. So with the Moxie, I would say don't go bigger than a 9-inch pattern. 9 inch is going to feel like you've got plenty of space in the beginning when you don't have quilt rolled up in here. But as the quilt rolls up, this gets bigger, your throat space gets smaller, you can still quilt that 9-inch pattern right to the end of your queen size, king size quilt. Okay, the last thing you want to do is get 3/4 of the way through and then figure you can't complete each pattern. If you have, say, an Avante, which is an 18-inch machine, I would go with no bigger than 12-inch pattern. The Amora is a 24, probably no bigger than a 14-inch pattern. Okay, so you would need to look and measure exactly. If when there's nothing on my frame and I pull my machine right to the back, where does the needle get to? And when there's nothing on the frame and I pull the machine right to the front, where does the needle get to? What is the space in between? Then take off a couple of inches, and that would be your maximum size pantograph. So if you are sourcing or designing your own, just bear that size in mind. You don't want to go too big and not be able to quilt it. Small patterns are great. It just means you're going to do more quilting across your quilt, more rows across. So I try to get sort of the optimum level, especially for all over quilts. You tend to want to get them done quickly. So I want to go with the biggest size that I know is going to fit the entire quilt. Then I go through with as fewer passes as possible. So where do you get pantographs? Well, I have some available in the shop. I don't have them all listed at the moment. I'm busy doing it. There are a whole load of second-hand pantographs that I need to photograph and put on there. I'll be doing that for you as soon as I can. Alternatively, you can design your own. If you're up to it, great. You've got a specific type of pattern in mind. You can design your own and draw it out. You can print it onto A4 paper, for instance, and stick them together so that you have enough length for your entire frame. There are also really great websites where you can buy and self-print the patterns. So again, it's going to print out probably onto an A4 sheet, and you print multiple of those sheets and tape them together to get the long length. I'll put up a link or a notice with various websites that you can try, ones that I really like. Often they're the websites that do the digitized patterns as well for the computer systems. But the advantage of a pantograph system like this, rear handlebars and laser light, is it's a lot cheaper. Please just remember, it is not right to go onto the website or go onto the web anywhere and download or take a screenshot of somebody's pattern, blow it up, and then start to use it. Patterns that are for sale are copyrighted. So remember that, please, and be respectful to the designers. They've worked hard and it's their income, so just do it the right way. Not all the patterns are reasonably cheap. If you buy new ones and you self-print, they can be anything from $6 or $8 up to about $20, depending on the complexity and that kind of thing and which website you buy from. They're not that expensive. Do not, please, breach the copyright. It's just not the right thing to do, and it's not fair. So you can buy online, you can make your own, you can buy from me once I get them listed. There's lots of places where you can get pantographs. It's something I think is really worth trying. Oh, the other thing to remember is not all the machines come with the rear handlebars. In the past, the Avantes and the Fusions and even the Infinity, they came standard with handlebars. The newer generation models, in order to keep the costs down for you, they kind of pared down, and not everybody wants to do pantographs. So the newer machines come without rear handlebars and laser lights. You would need to order what is called a quilt from the back kit if you want to be able to do that. It's something that you can get in touch with me about if you need one, and we can order it for you. So for the Moxie, the Simply, the Amara, the Forte, and those ones, you can get quilt from the back kits. Okay, so I hope that helps you. Pantographs are really a great way to get through those quilts, get them finished, and get them out to your loved ones. I hope you enjoy it and have fun quilting. It's me again. I forgot to tell you, if you live in my area and you're interested in quilting your own quilts, then pantographs are actually a really great way to be able to do that. So what I do is I rent time on one of my machines. It's normally on the Moxie or on my Simply 16. And you can come to me first of all and you do a basic class. So you learn how the machine operates, you learn how to load your quilt, and the basic steps to being able to use a pantograph, and do some basic practice. Once you have that sorted and you've done that class, you can rent time with me and just book an appointment to come and quilt your own quilt. Obviously in the beginning it's all a bit scary and a bit strange, so I will make sure that I'm available to help you load and change bobbins and that kind of thing and advance your quilt. But you can quickly learn how to do it and not really need a whole lot of help. So then you would rent time on the machine. Normally within a 4 or 5 hour session you can do a double to queen size quilt, and then you've done the whole quilt. You've pieced it, you've quilted it, you can put your own binding on, and you feel like you've accomplished the whole quilt. It's not like you've had somebody else quilt it for you. So that is definitely an option. If you're interested, then you're welcome to get in touch with me. I'm in Irene in Centurion. We can make a plan and get you quilting your own quilts.